Okay, so today I'm going to be listening to a piece by Lara from 2008, and it's for Pierrot Ensemble. It was written for the Pierrot Ensemble Vienna, so that's one thing to look into. And I also have to translate this title because I don't think I'm going to be able to pronounce it and do it justice. This score that I have doesn't have any front matter, but we can see that it's for flute, bass clarinet, piano, violin, and cello. I don't know why it says violin 1, because it doesn't look like there's any violin 2 in there. Okay, so this piece was written a couple years before her string quartet Beyond the Visible, which I really liked. So I'm assuming this is going to be a pretty mature work. It was done late in her career, but not as late as that string quartet. Okay, so this particular Pierrot Ensemble was founded by its pianist and its flautist, Gustavo Balanesco and Silvia Gelos. And it is, as you could assume, a Austrian ensemble. But this pianist, Gustavo Balanesco, is of Austrian-Argentinian descent. So maybe there's a connection there with South and Central America. And Anna's a Mexican composer, as I've mentioned in previous episodes. So the Google translation of this is "and the golds to light," which is not the best sounding English, but hopefully that gives you a sense of the title. So something to do with light and gold and gilded bright kind of title. And I'm going to grab the recording from Anna's SoundCloud here. Great, so the full recording is on her SoundCloud, and it's about 8 minutes long. And we do have a program note here, which I guess I can translate to the best of my abilities. Okay, so the title is taken from a poem by Valerino, a poet from Uruguay. And the poem, this is going to be a really bad translation of the poem, but whistle and whistle, gold thread, silver, whistle and whistle, and the gold's the light, and the sun go away. They leave, whistle happily, don't know. So in Anna's interpretation, it's like an image disappearing before our eyes, leaving us before we've even noticed, but also leaving an indelible mark on us. And this reminded her a lot of the medium of music. And here we have a better translation of the title, I think, "and the pentacles of light." And it was written by the request of Karl-Heinz Essel, who is an Austrian composer, I believe. And it's dedicated to her sister, Maria Pia. I'll pull up Essel's website just so you know who she's talking about. I have a number of Essel's scores because they're all free on his website. But yeah, this is the guy. Yeah, lots of work with computers, algorithmic composition, and things of that nature. And yeah, I guess oddly enough, he has a connection to this piece and its commissioning, or at least it's sort of coming about. And he's professor of composition for electroacoustic and experimental music at the Vienna University of Music and Performing Arts. So that's that institution probably has some connection to this ensemble and this performance here. All right, well, I think I got more information than I expected before this one. I was really going into this without much. And if you want to know more about Lara, I've covered her bio in a previous episode, so you'll have to go back to the string quartet series to get to know more about her. I try not to repeat myself too much in these. And yeah, I'll see you in 8 minutes and let you know my thoughts on this one. Cool, yeah, so I thought this was a great listen, and the piece, aside from some engraving mistakes in here, maybe this was a rough version of the score. Aside from that, like the score was really fantastic, and I liked how it played with shifting tempi, like all these different tempos and different layers of activity. There was always like some sustained element, but also some repeated note stuff, and a lot of like little filigree grace note things. There was one point where I think it was a very small part of it, but there was a point where the bass clarinet just had grace notes and rests, like grace notes into rests. So it's definitely very playful on the page, and it reminded me a little bit of this piece by Boulez called Dérivé, which we'll probably get to actually at a later episode. But yeah, that's what the grace note things and the tempo things reminded me of. And I think the harmonic language was very sophisticated. I am not sure how to categorize it. It's like it sounds a little bit tonal at points. Yeah, it's hard to explain, honestly, because I'm not the most attuned to harmony, but yeah, it definitely didn't sound completely atonal, and it didn't sound completely tonal either, and it was very kind of sophisticated in that way, and there was some neat effects as well. I like how she played with different subsections of the ensemble, like pairing a couple players together or moving from one player to the next. It got a bit sparser in the last third of the piece, and I think that's where she plays with it the most. Really interesting rhythmically. Like, I had a teacher once tell me not to use repeated notes because it's a boring effect, and I think this kind of proves just the opposite. Like, the repeated note stuff is super interesting in this and adds this level of like percussiveness, this layer of percussiveness to the whole piece, and it's cool. Yeah. So that'll be it for today, and yeah, tomorrow we'll move on to some more Pierrot ensemble stuff. Hopefully you're getting a sense for how the ensemble sounds already just on these first two pieces.